But the importance of changing from a negative mentality or perspective into a positive one is that it helps cultivate just a positive well-being. So you have a better quality of life. You have a more positive perspective of life. It helps also just to create a resilient mentality. And I know we've had a couple episodes talking about resilience and its pros and cons to it. So just shifting from that negative perspective to a more positive one is very challenging, yet we're here to promote that it's very rewarding. And I just also want to add that it's a process.
It's always a process. I think also a part of why people sometimes stay in the negative space or toxic space is because of fear of being lonely, and because we said in a previous episode that we as people and individuals we want connection with other people, right? We heal in a sense of community. So if I have some type of community, I'm good. Whether that's good, whether it's been beneficial to me or negative to me, I have something, I have someone, I'm okay. But until you know or find out that there could be something better out there, you're going to stay in where you're at. Right, and because if the alternative to this is loneliness, which I know nothing about, or I don't want, or I've been there before and I don't want to go back to, but you always have to remember, yes, you probably been lonely before, but did you stay there? No. Why? Because you did some type of action and I moved from that place. So don't be afraid to go back in order to go forward. Especially if where you're at now.
Let's go.
Is not doing you any good.
All right. And I would.
Hello. Welcome back, you all. You are back with Speaking with Gravity. I'm your host, Joshua.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 84. My name is Hannah.
And what up? Terrence Dawkins.
Yeah, and we are your hosts of Speaking with Gravity, and we're happy to be here. Are we closing out this season, guys?
It's about to be done. Gosh. Like my uncle say, it's done.
So this is the second season that we've all been together.
Right.
Yeah.
And Merry Christmas to you all.
Yeah, and Merry Christmas. Yeah.
Hope you all enjoyed the holidays with your family.
Yeah. And if you got me a gift under the tree, my number is we'll put it in. We'll put it in.
I don't know why you're giving out a number. You don't read notifications.
Terrence, you gotta get me something for Christmas. You know that.
I'm gonna get you an assistant.
See, this goes back to our topic of blocking out negativity.
Exactly.
Wait a minute.
Exactly.
You trying to tell me I'm being negative
Tell
right
him
now?
again. This time, introduce it. If you can, Hannah, introduce the episode and look right at him. Don't even look at the camera. Just look right at him.
I'm looking at the camera.
Okay, so today's topic, our episode, is blocking negativity. It's blocking negativity. So how do you block out negativity?
Oh my gosh.
Or do you block out negativity?
You better listen. You better resist it.
And I heard people want to know something.
People want to know why y'all think I'm being negative. No, I got okay.
That was a realistic.
Okay, here it goes.
Moment.
People want to know: can you be blocked from success because of the bad energy you got around you?
Can you be blocked from success because of the bad energy you have around?
That's right.
Do y'all think that we're talking about when they say around you, the people around you, and the
we can take it in that context. Yeah, let's we can take it in that context.
Even though you do have a part in the people that that are around you, because either you bring them around you or you allow them around you. So you still are accountable for those people who are around, for that energy that's around you.
See, one thing about you, Mr. Joshua.
What's up?
I've learned over these past few episodes.
2 Christmas presents
you all
if you
about
ain't careful.
Accountability, boy. Boy, he love that word. Boy. Accountable.
Yeah, man.
Accountable. But I like that. You are absolutely right. So I completely agree with you.
Yeah, man. We gotta hold ourselves accountable. It's so important. It's so much that people do, right? That can be they can be disruptive, right? And they can be destructive to our lives. But what are we doing?
Right.
Are we blocking that negativity? Or are we making strides to block that negativity? Or what are we allowing, right? It all goes back to us, right? We have to be responsible and accountable for what we're doing. So 2 Christmas presents. Thank you, sir.
I want to. Oh, go ahead.
No, please go. Please go.
You sure?
Yeah.
I want to initially state that I believe that anything that's meant for you will be for you. So the term of more so blocking your success is challenging to answer directly, because I have the mentality that whatever success is for you, whatever accomplishments or accolades are for you, you will receive if it's really meant for you. Now, I do believe that having the wrong crowd around you or being in a negative environment can influence that level of success. So, for example, if somebody growing up in a violent neighborhood wants to become a professional basketball player, their environment can influence, their outcome if that person allows it to.
Yeah.
So they may not have the most high quality basketball court to play on. They may have their mom or dad in their ear saying, "Oh no, you need to go to school to become a lawyer, because that's going to bring money back to our household. You don't need to follow your basketball dreams." So I do believe that having bad energy around you can influence it, but I don't feel like it can block it. It's just a strong blockage.
Yeah, and y'all, you both of you said this, and I love it. You said it all depends on what you allow. What you allow, right? Meaning, like, if I keep this person or people in my life that has a negative influence, I've allowed that, and I then have to take accountability for that, right? So I love the way that does correlate, and it is really true. And the whole point of like blocking negativity, one way to block it is don't allow it, right? Setting boundaries that we talked about in previous episodes, setting boundaries with individuals, following through with those boundaries, but also setting boundaries with yourself of what you will and will not allow is also another way I feel like is a good way to block that negativity from your life. And like you said, if it's meant for you, it will be for you. But you also have to, again, we've said this on previous episodes, move and do actions, right? So I think a lot of what we've talked about throughout the season can really contribute to ways to contribute to blocking negativity.
So I want the listeners to just take a moment to think about a time in life where you may have allowed the people around you or your environment or your family to influence your success. Have you ever allowed someone to block your success? These what the people want to know questions are just openers to get us thinking and to get us talking. But we also want you to take a moment to just think about, have you allowed bad energy or the wrong crowd to influence your success on life?
And I love it, Hannah. And if we can even think about, like you said earlier, what's for you is for you, right? But even when you get those things that's for you, it's like what you went through in the process, right? The people that you're hanging around, or the people that you allow to, surround you, they can kind of taint your success sometimes. You can be successful, but then can people trust you, right? Can other people trust you? How's your character been affected? So it's not saying that you won't get your blessings, but what has having that bad energy around you, what has it sacrificed, right? What did you have to sacrifice just to have those people around you? It could be your reputation sometimes.
It's kind of like at what cost?
At what cost, exactly. So that's something to think about too.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about... Go ahead.
No, please go.
Let's talk about the QD of the hour for today. So research indicates that people often pay more attention to negative experiences when trying to understand the world around them. Negative events capture our focus, linger in our memories, and frequently shape our decisions. This tendency is known as negativity bias, which refers to our inclination to notice and ruminate. Sorry, y'all. Ruminate on negative stimuli more than positive ones. So what's y'all thoughts on that?
So I believe that a lot of times we hang on to the negative experiences because of how they make us feel. So yes, the positive ones, they make us feel good and we like that, right? But then the negative ones, it makes us feel bad and we don't like that, and I don't want to feel like that again, so I must do something to change it, right? So I think we hang on to the negative ones because of how it makes us feel, and we don't like it and we don't want it to happen again, so we hang on to that and try to help and learn from it, hopefully. But that's why I feel like we hang on to the negative ones.
Excellent.
I agree.
Excellent. I even think sometimes we validate things about ourselves sometimes, like a weakness or something. Like we want to validate. Oh, I knew I couldn't do that.
Boom. Right?
I knew I couldn't do it.
I couldn't do it. I could, and then you got to think about where did that come from. I knew I couldn't do it. Somebody had to tell you couldn't do it to begin with. Like, you don't just wake up and be like, well, I can't do this, or I'm unable to do this, right? I think I don't believe people wake up and think negative about themselves unless something happens or someone tells them that you can't do it, or someone validates that negative belief, and then you start validating it yourself. So
Right. And oftentimes when something negative happens, sometimes we become so fixated on the negative situation or the negative event or the negative person that we become so limited and hyper-focused on that situation that we don't open up our mentality to look at different options or to look at things in a different light, which goes back to that term negativity bias. I often think about, well, not often, but right now I'm thinking about the term how they say in media that like any propaganda is good. So even if it's negative propaganda or negative advertisement, negative marketing around a person, that's still good marketing because at least it's some type of marketing. So I just think about that, how those negative situation often plays in our head and plays in our, we remind ourselves of those negative situations often simply because it gives us a feeling of something.
That gets into our culture too. When you think about it, oh my gosh, because when you think about that, right? The term I think that you mentioned was like negative promotion is
Negative propaganda.
Propaganda is good propaganda. You got people out here that doing things that they know ain't the best thing to do, but it's like they get attention from it. They get that reward of attention from it. And that really bleeds into the culture, y'all. Like people
Deep.
just doing things. Yeah, it's deep. People just doing things because of the attention they get from it. It might not be the best, but it's like somebody's looking at me though. Somebody's giving me something I want, which is that attention.
Encouragement and validation, right?
I think of two things. From you saying that, and Terrence, I'm glad you added that because I think of two things right now. I think of YouTube. I think of how there are more streams and more views over, videos that have some type of negative connotation to them compared to the positive, videos. So as and I think about my little nephew. He watches all of these, different, I won't say weird, but he watches all of these different YouTube children videos where they're doing these extravagant things that we would have never thought to do as a child. Building Elmer's, emptying 50 tubes of Elmer's glue. Like,
oh my God.
That is going to stream.
You're wasting money. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that is going to get more streams over the ABC song. Like it is what it is. It's real life. And then also, Josh, I think about how sometimes individuals stay in toxic situations and negative relationships because it gives them a feeling compared to stepping out of their comfort zone and experiencing or learning how to have a healthy relationship.
Yes, ma'am.
So why do you all feel like some people stay in that negative funk?
For one, familiarity. For one, they're familiar with the negative and going over to the positive. It's too, I don't know that over there. I'm going to have to learn that, and that's more work for me. I'm going to have to change something about myself. But Terrence is ruminating on something over there, so I want to know what he's ruminating on.
Just give me a moment.
Sure.
I'm pondering. Because that's a good question. Why do people stay in negative or toxic situations and things like that, where is you in other people's eyes is negativity, right? I think I do agree with comfortability. they feel like I know this situation said I don't know this over here, but I also feel like it is because they don't have a support system or someone to tell them differently. I feel like the support system they have, just kind of like going back to the question people want to know, the people that they have around them, sometimes, and I'm not saying this is all the time, but sometimes the people they have around them are the ones that they continue to keep around them that brings them down. So if you want to be brought out of the situation, you got to first change your environment, people around you, to get more encouraging people. Then that's going to help you start to believe I can do better. There is more out there, instead of people saying this is all you're worth, this is all you're going to deserve, you're no better than I am. And then you start to believe that, and these core beliefs can be very, very strong once they're reinforced for so long.
And coming from someone's childhood or even their reality, they may have been in an environment that was very negative. So they have built this very pessimistic mentality of looking at what's the worst that can happen, what's the worst this person can do to me, or let me look at the flaws or the bad in this person instead of being optimistic and looking at the light in the situation or the light at the end of the tunnel, or even being optimistic and looking at what are the strengths in this person instead of just highlighting their weaknesses or their flaws.
Great point. Sometimes you just don't know. Right. Some people. Sometimes we just don't know how to get out of that negative mindset, that negative funk,
how to navigate
that negative situation, how to navigate that. And we need that coaching. Sometimes you need therapy. Sometimes you need somebody in your corner, like we talked about. Sometimes you got to go look for the answer. Sometimes you got to do trial and error. But you got to do everything that you can. And then sometimes, we try to resist it. But then we don't know what to do after that, right? And we can find ourselves right back in that funk. And so it's very much two-part. It's getting away from that thing, and then it's drawing closer to something else, whether it's gratitude, whether it's something. But you got to have something that you're putting in your life. So when you lay that negative thing down, when you lay that burden down, you got to pick up something else. You got to pick up some kind of light when you lay that darkness down.
Lay that
Sound like
down.
you preaching.
When you lay that burden down.
Sound like you preaching.
Listen, I'm going to pick up on it.
If it's okay, I'm going to give you one scripture. And that's because...
Oh, there we go. Hey, I knew it was coming.
That's because it's been really helpful for me.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Right? In getting away from negativity,
It's
right?
your personal experience.
Here's a scripture that says, resist the devil. So resist the negativity. And he will flee from you. That negativity is going to leave. But then what? It gives you direction after that. It says, draw nigh to God, and he will draw nigh to you. So it's not just resisting, getting away from, pushing back on that negativity. It's also picking something up, going towards that life, the light of life, right? It's going towards something as well. So it's twofold. And it's, sometimes as I'm on my daily walk, I have to say that because negativity can come at you from so many different angles, especially from the angle where you're the weakest. That's where it's really going to come at, right? If you're in a relationship with somebody that's, they know your weakness, they're going to try to push them buttons. And a lot of times it's to make you feel weak so they can keep you at that state to where they can control you. But if you push back, you got to be able to draw nigh to what... draw nigh to something that's something that's good,
more positive.
Yeah. And that scripture is always draw nigh to.
I like that
message.
scripture.
Yeah. Draw nigh to God.
I like that scripture. And so what I got from that is you have to put action from changing, from being maybe a negative person, maybe being in a negative environment, or even being a positive person and having negative people around you. You have to do some type of action. So what I heard you say is you have to flee. That's one action word. And then the other action word I heard is draw. So you have to create some type of action plan. What is your plan to change from negativity to positivity? I just want to add that one way you can change that negativity bias is to create positive self-talk. If you constantly tell yourself, I'm not worth anything, I'm never going to be anything in life, then those are the messages that your brain is receiving daily. And eventually you may not do anything in life. You may not be successful in life simply because you kept reiterating to your brain over and over and over those negative messages. On the opposite side, if you take some action and you start telling yourself more positive self-talk, I am valuable, I am worthy, I do deserve self-respect, I'm going to respect myself and others. Those are just some examples of positive self-talk, but you create what positive self-talk you need for you in your situation, then that's taking action to change.
Yep.
Yeah, man, and it can be scary to think about that type of change. It can be scary, but at the end of the day, like, you have to think about that other side, that greener grass, that brighter side that you get into, right? Your peace. We talk about protecting your peace. You gotta get that peace first to be able to get to a place where you can protect it. So seek that peace with everything that you got, and then protect that peace with everything that's left over.
And I just want to highlight around this holiday season that it can be easy to get in that funk of negativity. We can find something so small. Oh, I didn't get the gift I wanted. Here that family member coming up. We can find something so small that just triggers all of those negative thoughts that we have worked so hard to manage with in the past. And so one strategy I just want to talk about.
Got to
you got to
but make sure you get her gift right now. Listen. You heard her just now. Make sure you get her gift right this holiday season.
I'm taking notes.
These are just examples they're talking about. But the importance of changing from a negative mentality or perspective into a positive one is that it helps cultivate just a positive well-being. So you have a better quality of life. You have a more positive perspective of life. It helps also just to create a resilient mentality. And I know we've had a couple episodes talking about resilience and its pros and cons to it. So just shifting from that negative perspective to a more positive one is very challenging, yet we're here to promote that it's very rewarding. And I just also want to add that it's a process.
It's always a process. I think also a part of why people sometimes stay in the negative space or toxic space is because of fear of being lonely, and because we said in a previous episode that we as people and individuals we want connection with other people, right? We heal in a sense of community. So if I have some type of community, I'm good. Whether that's good, whether it's been beneficial to me or negative to me, I have something, I have someone, I'm okay. But until you know or find out that there could be something better out there, you're going to stay in where you're at, right? And because if the alternative to this is loneliness, which I know nothing about, or I don't want, or I've been there before and I don't want to go back to, but you always have to remember, yes, you've probably been lonely before. But did you stay there? No. Why? Because you did some type of action and I moved from that place. So don't be afraid to go back in order to go forward. Especially if where you're at now is not doing you any good.
All right. And I would even pose that even though community is so important, I would much rather be confident and comfortable, and I don't want to use the word comfortable, but I would much rather be confident and optimistic and in a more peaceful state of mind by myself than be wrapped up in pessimism and, being very critical of myself and others and just being in a negative funk while not being lonely and having so many friends and family and loved ones around me. So sometimes we do have to go to that idle state of mind and isolate ourselves just to come back to that positive mentality.
And I will say, you may be lonely for a while, but God will put people in your life. The right people will come into your life when you get away from the wrong people. You may be lonely for a little while, but while you're lonely, trust me, you're gonna be getting worked on, so that when those right people come along, you'll be able to accept them, and you'll know this is my tribe right here. This is the people that I need to be around. These are the people who are going to influence good behaviors in me. Don't you got?
And I was going to say, how do we really know who we are as a person and our morals and our character and our decision-making skills if we never have those negative people or those negative experiences ever? You know, if life was, milk and honey and always nice and sweet.
Milk and honey.
Nice and sweet.
It would be difficult to know who we are as a person and where we stand in life and our morals until we have those challenging situations or even people that test that.
Yeah. And so I do have a question, y'all. Tell me how you feel about this. Does blocking negativity mean that you're totally excluding, absolutely excluding all those people who have been feeding you some of that negativity or that have been leading to even negative behaviors from you? Does it mean that you have to exclude them totally from your life?
I would say it depends on the situation at hand and how severe it is. In some situations, I've seen where a child could no longer have a relationship with their own parent simply because of how toxic that parent is and their unwillingness to change. In other situations, I've seen where you're able to manage the situation or the person or the situation or the person at hand, still have a relationship with them while helping them to grow into a more positive space. So I think it just depends on the case. Sometimes a complete cutoff is called for.
I agree. I feel like you could better stand your positive ground. Those people, they'll if you stand in your ground enough, those people, they'll get it. They'll leave. They'll leave, or something about them will switch up. They'll be different with you. They may be the same with somebody else, but they won't be able to be the same with you anymore.
Exactly. You establish those boundaries, they got a choice. You can either change and respect my boundaries and what I've laid out, or you can get gone.
Hit the road,
you get gone. You don't come back no more.
So what's some negative situations that you all just choose not to be a part of?
Oh man, it's some situations, y'all. I don't know if they're gonna be negative or not, but they just look like they might be negative, and I don't even get in them, right? So it's just some settings, right, where I know people are gonna be talking about other people, talking bad about other people. I don't really get into the talking about other people. So some situations like that, situations where people are gonna be doing things that could lead to negative behaviors. Sometimes, just different things, And I know I got some friends that not only do they go a little overboard with the drinking and different things like that. That can cause that can spur arguments. It can just spur different things. So maybe I'll stay away from that. I done learned maybe I need to stay away from that. So look, situations like that, you can kind of anticipate sometimes with something when it's a type of situation that could go left.
This is the main one. I don't argue. I like to stay away from people that like to argue a lot. Like I don't
argumentative people.
Yeah, I ain't got time. If you can't sit down or lower your voice to the point where we can have like a real conversation and try to work through the problem or issue, and you just always want to, poke. I'm not doing that. So I really try to stay away from people that is negative all the time, want to argue, that really doesn't listen. Because when I say don't listen, I mean like I'm not trying to convince them of my point. I just want them to listen to my point so that they can hear me and then respond to my point, right? So and then I do the same thing for them, so we can come to a mutual agreement, understanding of an issue or problem. So people that argue and don't really listen, I stay away from.
Y'all definitely explained two different yet meaningful examples, and I do have one example of. So one negative situation that I just tried to stay completely away from is violence. And I have an example of that. So in high school, I think I was in about 10th grade. The entire day at school, people were talking about how these two people were going to fight. And in the back of my head, I'm like, we're at school. Like, we're supposed to be getting our education. Why are they focused? Why are we in calculus class talking about a fight during lunch? Like, I'm trying to pass this calculus exam.
Yeah, some smart thoughts.
I was focused on what I needed to be focused on at that time in life.
Calculus. I never took calculus before people.
Corporate thug, Yeah.
What grade was it?
High school. So everybody was going on and on about how these two people were supposed to fight, and I'm just like, okay, whatever. When lunch comes around, lo and behold, the two people just happened to fight, and there were 4 different lunch periods, so they just happened to fight during my lunch period, and I'm like, what do I do? I don't like violence. I tried to stay away from, at a very young age, I always tried to stay away from violent situations. So I was eating with my friends. I think it was about a group of about 8 or 10 of us. And I was the only person that sat at the lunch table while everybody stormed away from the cafeteria room to go look at the fight, which was outside of the cafeteria room. Now, as I was sitting there, I felt very alone. Speaking to loneliness, I felt very alone. I felt very different. I felt kind of lame, and that's not a bad thing. But I just felt like I was very different. And I was okay and comfortable in that feeling for the exact reason that I wanted to avoid that negativity.
At least you were full, right?
That's what I was about to say. Well, that lunch better been good.
And that was true too, because I had some great leftovers.
That's what I'm talking about. Listen.
But that wasn't the main cause. But I just said that story to say that on the opposite side of that, as I was sitting there by myself, I do remember a security guard passed by me, and he just said, thank you. He said, thank you for staying seated and doing what you're supposed to do. And then on top of that, the student government advisor, she came to me after that fight, and she said, I saw you sit down while everybody else ran to that fight. I want you to run for vice president of student government. Just off of the strength that I chose not to run towards the violence.
Oh my God.
And I chose to stay there. But I say all of that to say that it took something inside of me to not want to put myself in a negative situation when it was so easy to do that at a young age. Now, I'm not saying the 2 people beside me would have sat down. And I'm not saying that,
All I'm saying,
what's your thoughts, Terrence?
Calculus and then vice president of student government.
That's not important right now.
I'm just saying.
What's important is that we make conscious decisions to stay out of negative situations.
Very important.
And when we do experience those negative situations, we have choices and options.
You're right.
To make.
Well, I'm glad you said that. No lie. I'm glad you did sit down because when people go to fights like that and entertain negativity, that draws more attention. I guess draws more to the fight, right? So
to the negativity.
So look, all right, if me and someone else was fighting and wasn't nobody around, how long do you think we're gonna fight?
Right.
Oh, what's the point?
Right.
And would you all even fight, or would you all just verbally disagree?
Yeah, like ain't nobody giving us any attention. But when you get attention to negativity,
when you give attention to
grows.
Come on,
Right.
man.
So let's think about it. If you
on,
don't
man.
give
on,
attention to
therapist.
negativity,
Yeah.
the negativity will not grow.
Man.
Right?
Yeah.
So let's think about that. So that's why I like that. I know I gave you a hard time just now, but
It's okay. I'm used to it, y'all.
Nah, that was
that.
a beautiful story. And dang, that was a beautiful quote right there, Terrence.
Yeah, I said, I come up with some stuff sometime. I don't know where it
Off
come
the
from, but it come from. It be
Somewhere.
coming.
Somewhere in that noggin.
Yeah.
Well, y'all, I just want to say I've definitely enjoyed this season with you all. I feel like our chemistry has built. We've definitely addressed so many different topics, relevant to our culture, relevant to mental health, relevant to society, and just what's going on right now in current society. So I just appreciate this space that we're in right now.
No, I really appreciate it as well. We've definitely had some experiences where we could make jokes and we have inside jokes and make jokes on the fly, and while also educating people about not only our experiences, but also just about mental health in general. Again, this is a podcast, right? So it's just a conversation we're having, and so much can happen from a simple conversation, and we can change so many lives. So I appreciate every single one of you for not only sharing your knowledge, but also wanting to influence lives.
Beautifully said. Yeah, y'all are two great people, man. I appreciate the opportunity to be around y'all, and definitely appreciate Mr. Kervin Searles, our producer. Appreciate Winston. You know, if Winston ain't here on none of this,
none of this
down, boy. Listen,
We'll be shooting off an iPhone.
None of this go down. So
iPhone,
Like, get this angle, get that angle.
None of this happened.
Yeah, it's definitely a team behind all of this. It takes a lot of time, effort, energy. So we definitely appreciate the work that's done outside of the camera. And I definitely look forward to next season. What about you all? If listeners, if you all have any topics you want us to address, if you're interested in being a guest speaker, if you're an expert in a field or on a topic, then please reach out to us.
Yeah. I want to say thank you to our listeners. Like, really thank you. I've had people come up to me and that I would have never known watch this show that tell me, like, man, I enjoy what y'all are doing. And, you know, and sometimes they be like, I ain't know you was in mental health. I'm not, okay? I'm really not. But just the opportunity to be able to sit up here with these great folks and, you know, be able to, you know, just to have this platform, I think is a blessing and a special thing. So I look forward to it continuing, and you know, just all the great things that I know that it can do and be. So yeah, man. So that's another season, y'all. Another episode and another season. We love y'all. We appreciate y'all, and we look forward to talking to you soon.
All right,
one more thing.
Oh God.
Say it. I dare you. Let's go out with a bang.
About to be 3 Christmas gifts, okay?
Josh.
What's up, man?
I got a question for you.
I might have an answer.
Will you still get back on the road and ask questions? Do you know what that means?
Will I still get back
on the road
and ask questions?
Yep. You don't know what that means. Good.
I have no idea what that means.
Will you write your book? Or write a book?
I don't know where this question came from.
I do know what Terrence means.
I will hope that one day I am able to put my thoughts and my knowledge into some type of production.
I think it would be beautiful, man. I think you have a lot of
And
wisdom.
before y'all even ask,
you.
I'll stay. I'm not going to have my own show.
Terrence, will you leave and start your own show?
No.
I heard it might be a comedy show.
It won't be a
y'all let us know if y'all want Terrence to start his own show. Please let us know in the comments.
I told y'all this is not about me. We are a collective. We are a group. Let's talk about unity.
Unity, I love it.
We have definitely been unified through this platform of Speaking with Gravity. So I appreciate that.
And I want to say, so I know what you're talking about now, Terrence. The show, Let's Talk About It, right? Let's Talk About It. I had a lot of fun with that show. There's a possibility I could bring that show back, right? Had a lot of fun with it. Learned a lot. But as for right now, I am overworked.
Okay.
I am overworked. Okay. I love what we're doing here. I love the platform that we have. And then I have so much other things going on. Mm-hmm. But I mean, it's good work. The things that are going on is busy work and it's good work. But I would love to get back to that at some point. We'll just have to see. I'm gonna get back with you on that, brother.
Okay.
And I just want to encourage our listeners to pay it forward, especially during this holiday season. Yes. Take care of your mental health, support the individuals around you, but definitely pay it forward.
Yeah.
Well.
All right. Don't forget to subscribe, share. You know, all that good stuff, because share, subscribe, all that, because we need you in order to keep on keeping on this going. And we need your friends, your family, anyone, because we're not only trying to reach you, we're trying to reach everybody.
Y'all take care.